This is the most must-watch epic disaster movie of early 2026. Tough guy Gerard Butler makes a powerful return and director Rick Romanwall once again brings a new wave of doomsday chaos. When the sharp alarm cuts through the Greenland bunker, the red alert of a radiation storm spreads across the whole world. The bunker that once kept people alive now turns into a cage. Escape becomes the only choice left for humanity. Along the way, there are unexpected allies, and also sudden betrayals you never see coming. Every step feels like it hangs between life and death. This time, Gerard Butler once again shows his tough hero spirit, revealing a small spark of humanity in the darkest moments. This is the legendary sequel Greenland Escape 2. The story takes place 5 years after the comet Clark hits Earth. By then life on the surface has completely collapsed. The world is trapped in endless ice and deadly radiation. Once busy cities are reduced to ruins. The survivors hide in bunkers barely staying alive. One day, John is sent outside to look for supplies. But all he sees is a wasteland above ground with only a few ships floating on the sea. John opens a cabin door like grabbing his last hope, but after searching for a long time, he finds nothing. Just as he places his hope on the final ship, the radio receiver suddenly brings terrible news. A pressure storm is forming near the coast, which means he must rush back to the bunker. John does not waste a single second and jumps into the ship, searching as fast as he can for life-saving supplies. Luckily, this trip is not a total loss. As the storm gets closer and closer, John hugs the supplies he found tightly to his chest, then turns and runs for his life toward the bunker, just 1 second before the storm swallows him. He uses all his strength to crawl through the blast door and barely escapes with his life. At the same time, the military calls an emergency meeting. After 5 hard years, the Greenland bunker is barely holding on. It is no longer as safe as when it was first built. The aftershocks from the comet impact cause constant movement in the plates beneath the bunker, leading to cracks and small-scale collapses again and again. To keep order the bunker, leaders decide to enforce a resource ration system, but things are not completely hopeless. Dr. Amina begins monitoring volcanic activity. She discovers a volcano whose crater walls and shape seem to block the formation of radiation storms. When this feature combines with its depth, it turns the area into a rare safe zone. But the problem is the volcano is in southern France. Getting there sounds almost impossible, and reports say war has broken out there. Europe is now trapped in total chaos, so everyone is divided on whether to move or not. At the same time, John is no longer the reckless tough guy from the first film. 5 years in the bunker have made him calm and reliable. Every day, he uses his engineering skills to repair equipment, trading that work for extra resource rations. His wife Allison relies on her medical knowledge, becoming the bunker's temporary nurse, treating common illnesses among the survivors while carefully planning every bit of family supplies. John's son Nathan is already 15 years old. Years without sunlight make him deeply curious about the outside world, so one day, he sneaks out when no one is watching. Although it does not cause serious consequences, John still scolds him hard after finding out. Because outside, the radiation levels are off the charts. One small mistake could cost him his life. But Nathan does not take it seriously. He does not care about his father's warning and even casually makes an excuse and walks away. Early the next morning, vehicles filled with refugees slowly approach the bunker. After receiving the news, the bunker leaders immediately order the tunnel open to receive them, but at that moment, different voices appear in the meeting. Some believe they can barely survive themselves and have no energy or ability left to save others. Just as both sides argue endlessly, John goes to repair equipment like usual, but when he looks up, he sees the bunker wall cracking at a visible speed. Before he can report the situation to the leaders, the entire bunker suddenly begins to shake violently. The ground splitting puts the bunker in extreme danger. People are caught completely off guard and are crushed instantly by collapsing structures. At this moment, they must leave this place fast. In the chaotic crowd, John finds his wife lying on the ground badly injured. He tells his son to grab everything they can use, especially the life-saving protective masks. Once everything is ready, the three of them sprint toward the exit, but the recent collapse blocks most of the paths. Left with no choice, they lower their bodies, forcing their way through narrow gaps. After a hard struggle, they finally reach the blast door. As for those who fail to escape in time, they are buried under the rubble, forever trapped in this doomsday land. Outside the gate, the world is already in total chaos. The lucky ones who escape alive search everywhere like headless flies for boats. John's family is swept along by the crowd, desperately rushing toward the sea. But as the couple keeps running, they turn back and realize their son is gone. Nathan has collapsed halfway from exhaustion. Seeing this, John immediately pulls his son up. Right now, time equals life. They cannot stay exposed to radiation for long. Their only hope is the ship at sea. Cruelly, in the face of life and death, the dark side of human nature is fully revealed. The tiny boat is packed with desperate people, all fighting for a place to survive. Some even try to drown others to make room. In the chaos, John's mask is ripped off. Icy wind mixed with radiation makes him cough violently, but he cannot worry about that now. The most important thing is keeping his family safe and finding a small boat to escape. At the critical final moment, he drags Allison and Nathan with him, forcing their way onto a military rescue ship. facing the endless crowd behind them. He shuts the cabin door without hesitation, cutting off the frantic survivors outside. As the engine roars to life, the rescue ship speeds away from this deadly place, but the world beyond is just as dangerous. Not long after the small boat leaves, a dark massive wave rises across the sea. The captain tries to turn the boat to avoid this deadly force, but in a blink, the huge wave completely swallows the vessel. Allison holds her son tightly and curls up in the corner. After a violent round of shaking, the boat finally begins to steady and continues sailing toward an unknown distance. Along the way, someone suggests heading to nearby Iceland, but strong currents have already wiped that place out. Right now, the best option left may be Europe. John believes they should move southeast, with about a week of travel. They should be able to reach England directly. Seeing everyone agrees, the captain immediately speeds up toward the target. Time quickly reaches the next day. A full night of sailing leaves the boat low on fuel. With no way out, they can only leave things to fate, letting the boat drift with the current. During this time, all remaining supplies must be strictly rationed. At the very least, they must last until reaching land. Luckily, hope is not completely lost. After struggling through harsh weather and waves, the boat finally drifts south and comes to a stop. John opens the cabin door to check and discovers they have reached Liverpool in England. The surrounding air seems relatively safe. The most urgent thing now is finding shelter. But what confuses everyone is why the boat has stopped in the open sea. John looks down and realizes they are actually resting on a rooftop, meaning every building in this area has long been completely swallowed by the sea. John spots a passage not far away, so he immediately takes out the rope from the cabin, working with the captain to slowly move toward it. Everyone follows the passage forward, finally stopping safely at the end and making it ashore. This area has been abandoned for a long time. If they want to survive here, the first priority is finding water and food, then finding shelter from wind and rain. Just as everyone gathers together, while everyone talks over each other about the next move, Nathan suddenly spots a figure not far away. Driven by curiosity, he quietly follows it. What happens next feels unbelievable. After passing through a deserted street, a lively and crowded market suddenly appears. Judging from the way people look, they seem already used to living outside. The scene in front of them leaves John and the others stunned. This not only confuses them, could this place really support normal daily life? But as they move deeper into the market, behind this peaceful-looking place, the cruel rules of survival slowly show themselves. Soldiers are seen guarding the shelter entrance tightly. Anyone without a pass is not allowed inside. Luckily, John and his group follow the Greenland station supervisor and still carry passes that meet the requirements. But just as Allison passes the check and waits at the gate for John and their son, violence suddenly breaks out in the crowd. The soldiers open fire without hesitation, killing an old man traveling with John, while everyone is still drowning in shock and grief. A terrifying storm quietly approaches this area, with the shelter gates already closing. Left with no other choice, John has to leave his companion's body behind, then takes his wife and son toward a van, hoping the driver will take his family away. In the apocalypse, everyone looks out only for themselves. John calmly takes off his watch and hands it to the driver. Only then does the man agree to let them on board. Their destination this time is London. John hopes to find his friend Kenny for help, but it has been half a year since their last call. No one knows if he is still alive. After hours of exhausting travel, they finally arrive at a forest outside London. To plan their next steps to survive, John takes the initiative to speak with Black, asking if anyone is heading towards southern France, but the answer he gets is that it is even more dangerous, and that the volcanic safe zone Amina mentioned before sounds unreliable and only a short-term hope. As they talk, Nathan walks over. Just as everyone prepares to return to the vehicle, John suddenly feels the ground shaking violently. Everyone clings tightly to the trees in front of them, afraid that letting go will pull them into the storm. But what no one expects is just as everyone refuses to release the trees, Black stubbornly tries to run back to the vehicle for shelter. The very next second, tragedy strikes. Not long after, the surroundings finally fall silent, but the vehicle has already been completely destroyed. The people who survive return to the wreck, taking every usable supply they can find, then walking on foot toward London not far away. Finally, as night is about to fall, everyone successfully reaches Mackenzie's home. Luckily she is still alive. When she sees John's family outside, she invites them in without hesitation. Old friends meet again in the apocalypse. Joy they cannot put into words appears on every face. After catching up, Mackenzie leads them inside. The air here is much better than outside. It turns out not long ago, she sealed off one side of the hospital, allowing generators to keep the air filters running. Although it is not as clean as before the apocalypse, it is enough to keep them alive for years. While talking, Amina notices an elderly man with white hair in Mackenzie's home and casually asks about his situation. It turns out the old man has dementia and does not even remember the comet hitting Earth. Mackenzie cannot bear to leave them on the streets, so she kindly takes them in, to celebrate reuniting with John's family. Mackenzie specially prepares a small celebration, but in such a desperate world, every word they talk about seems to circle back to how to survive. Late at night, as Allison prepares to rest, she suddenly hears violent coughing outside. She instinctively walks into the bathroom, but the scene in front of her freezes her in place. John is wiping his mouth with a tissue. The blood in the sink clearly comes from what he just coughed up. John does not want to worry his wife and claims it is a nosebleed, but Allison sees through the lie at once. Seeing that he can no longer hide it, John finally tells the truth, saying he only has 2 months left to live, so he wants to use this limited time to safely get his wife and son to the volcano area in southern France. Because only there do they have a chance to survive. After learning the truth, Allison hugs her husband and breaks down crying. She cannot accept such a cruel reality. She does not want John to keep running around, exhausting himself for her and their son in his final days, so she suggests staying here instead, but in the end, she cannot win against his determination. After John insists again and again, she finally agrees to go to France with him. Early the next morning, with Ken's help, John gets a vehicle with enough fuel to reach their destination. After saying goodbye to their friends, everyone sets off, but not long after they leave, a bullet suddenly shatters the car window. Nathan is shot on the spot. Seeing this, John stops the car immediately to check on him, but the attackers show no sign of stopping. Their goal is clear. They want the car. At the critical moment, John remembers the pistol Mackenzie gave him before he left, so he quickly pulls it out inside the car and engages in a deadly fight with the robbers. After a fierce struggle, John successfully kills one of the attackers. Nathan only suffers a minor injury. But Amina is not that lucky. In the chaos, she is hit by a stray bullet and dies. The next morning, John finds a quiet place to bury her. After a simple farewell, the three of them continue driving along the rough road. However, when they reach the English Channel, the sight in front of them leaves them frozen. This stretch of sea used to be over 20 miles wide, but now because of the apocalypse, it has completely dried up. The only small piece of good news is that they no longer need a boat to cross. The most important thing now is finding a place to stay the night. John then drives the car onto the exposed seabed, but they have not gone very far. They soon see more than 10 cars stopped ahead. A bad feeling rises in his chest instantly. They quickly jump out to check the situation, only to find the road ahead blocked by a deep gap. To get across, they must leave the car behind and climb over a broken rope bridge in the middle. Seeing that others have already crossed safely, John urges his wife and son to stay close behind him, but an accident almost happens during the crossing. Freezing winds roar in suddenly, nearly flipping the fragile rope bridge over. The three struggle with all their strength to stay steady, barely making it across the rope bridge in the final moment. But the danger is far from over. Ahead of the rope bridge is another hanging ladder bridge. Only by climbing across it can they truly escape danger. Just as their hands and feet move slowly inching along the ladder bridge, the seabed on both sides suddenly begins to collapse. Under the violent shaking, the ladder bridge beneath John and the others snaps apart, leaving them clinging desperately to what remains, crawling toward the ground just within reach. Thankfully, at the critical moment, they manage to climb up and reach land safely, but the people behind them are not so lucky. They think reaching land means a chance to survive, but an even bigger problem soon follows. Without transportation, they can only move on foot, staring at the endless wasteland ahead. They have no idea if this road even has an end. Just as the three discuss what to do next, a sudden sound breaks the silence around them. Luckily, the man shows no hostility. After learning why John and his family are here, he immediately lowers the weapon in his hands and even invites them to ride together. It turns out his destination is also near the volcano. He has been hoping to find companions along the way. Maybe this meeting is what people call fate. Not long after they drive and reach the port of Calais, Burke owns a solar power company nearby. Thanks to this advantage, he lives a relatively stable life, but his wife Julie suffers radiation damage, leaving her nervous system injured and unable to speak. Later that night, during dinner, Burke brings up the volcano they plan to reach. Since the destination is not far from here, he knows the local situation fairly well. According to him, that area is extremely dangerous. The Western Alliance and the remaining French forces are currently resisting an invasion from the Eastern Alliance. The entire front line is locked in fierce fighting. Even worse, from Milan to Bern, only the last few cities remain. Reaching that place sounds like pure fantasy, but John still wants to try, because he does not have much time left. The next day, Burke gives him a new map, marked with the latest battle routes and the only path that can detour to the volcano. Since the destination lies between mountain ranges, that region will be very hard to cross. To make things smoother for John, Burke tells him that after reaching the mountain pass, he should take a photo to find his friend Nate, who is a commander in the Western Alliance. Once he sees the photo, he will let John pass. But what no one expects is just as John prepares to pack and leave, Burke makes a request they cannot refuse, asking them to take his daughter Anna along. He does not know what the volcano area truly is, but he believes it will be where the world is reborn. Burke still has his seriously ill wife to care for, so the only person he can trust now is John. Just as he finishes speaking, Allison walks out of the room, with a firm look in her eyes. She promises they will bring Anna to the volcano. Once everything is ready, the four set off together. Allison sits in the passenger seat checking the map, but John's coughing grows worse and worse. Along the way, they have to stop and rest for a while. At that moment, the sound of engines comes from nearby. Before they can figure out what is happening, they are surrounded by armed soldiers. Civilians are not allowed to pass through here. This area is full of rebels. Where are you going? Since the soldiers are speaking French, John can only stand there confused. At the critical moment, Anna steps forward, saying her father is a friend of Commander Nate. Soldier Henry immediately helps them contact the commander to confirm. After receiving a clear response, he quickly leads the four of them through the war zone. Reaching the command post is the only way forward. At this moment, the Eastern and Western alliances are fighting fiercely. One wrong step and they could be torn apart by gunfire. Bullets whistle past their bodies. The four follow closely behind Henry, finally reaching a safe area at the last moment. But from here on, they must continue on their own. Henry tells them to move along the forest line. They will reach the command post before long. He must return to his unit to keep fighting. After a whole night of hard travel, the four finally arrive at the military camp the next morning. This place is very close to the volcano. Many refugees can be seen struggling to survive here. John holds up the photo and tries to find Nate, only to be told that he died from serious injuries. Even worse, once the soldiers learn that John and the others are Americans, they try to escort them away by force. At the critical moment, John talks his way through and finally convinces the camp commander, allowing them to board the bus heading to the volcano. However, not long after the bus sets off, an accident strikes without warning. A group of armed raiders suddenly opens fire. The soldiers on the bus jump out immediately. A fierce gunfight erupts on the canyon road, but the raiders outnumber them. After taking down the soldiers, they rush onto the bus, dragging everyone inside off the vehicle. John knows that if he misses this chance, he may never get his family to the destination. In the moment of crisis, he thinks fast, using all his strength to wrest a weapon from them. Others seize the chance as well, working together to take down all the raiders. John finally secures a weapon, but he is shot in the stomach during the chaos. Even so, he insists on pushing forward with his family. Luckily, Allison knows how to drive the bus, but just as they are about to reach their goal, a broken-down vehicle blocks the road ahead. Left with no choice, everyone gets off and continues on foot. Finally, after 10 long minutes, they see a place that looks like a hidden paradise. This is the impact crater left by Comet Clark, and also the volcano site they have dreamed of for so long. But just as the family sinks into joy, John can no longer hold on and collapses. Watching her husband in her arms slowly lose warmth, Allison breaks down and cries uncontrollably. In the end, John uses his own life to pave a path toward a new beginning for his family. Inside, the crater life is thriving. Allison will continue living here with her son. The ending becomes a deep question about love and life. The new road John builds with his life makes the apocalypse clash powerfully with family bonds. It turns out in extreme conditions, the determination to protect others with everything you have is far more meaningful than survival itself. This is where the story ends. If you are interested, you can check out the original movie Greenland Escape 2, The Migration. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment and subscribe for more great films. We will see you next time.